So I'm a two-stream person. So I have done chemical engineering from IIT Delhi in India. It's one of the best institutes in the country. And then I realized that I'm not really a chemical engineering person, and I wanted to kind of pursue uh, a career in fashion. So I said, instead of trying to, struggle the whole way along, I thought, let me just get a proper degree in the fashion industry. So I went to NIFT Delhi, the National Institute of Fashion Technology, and I did a kind of a MBA, which is it's actually called Apparel Marketing and Merchandising course. So it teaches you all the basics about the fashion industry, like right from design, go to market, how to kind of launch a range, pricing, everything about marketing, communication, advertising, and so on. So yeah, and after that, I went to work for a couple of years at an export house, TCNS, which is basically also the company where the brand W has come out of. And 2 years I worked in the export, and then I said, no, I want to kind of work in the consumer space, like in the domestic market in India. So I went to Levi's. And then 6-7 years in India at Levi's, I built the brand there, really strengthened their women's jeans business, right? And women's tops business, men's tops business. And then I moved on to Levi's Singapore to roll out SAP across the region. And I think that comes from the space where I understand technology and business processes quite well. And there's always this desire to kind of, improve something, improve it in terms of productivity, profitability, look at data. So I, kind of went on to lead the sales analytics department here in Levi's Asia Pacific. And then in 2010, I left them and became an entrepreneur. So yeah, that's the work experience part of it. I am a product person. Like I love to create, right? Whether that be advertising, whether that be software, whether that be actual fashion products, right? So I started a fashion brand in 2011 once I left Levi's. So it's kind of getting to be 10 years now. It's called Anna Rain. And the idea behind that was I met a couple of ladies who were actually, kind of creating wrap dresses out of their need because they just couldn't find clothes for real bodied women in Singapore. So I joined hands with them, and now I'm the sole owner. They have moved on. But I think the passion is there. And I think that's what carries something through, when you feel strongly about something. So I feel very strongly about body positivity. And I think coming from India as well, I have seen a lot of different shapes and sizes of women, which is basically like every person is unique, So when I was launching the Levi's, the jeans range, which was kind of catering to the Indian body type, and which was a lot of different body types. So we had a different kinds of fits, and that's, I got that same feeling when I was, talking to these women. Joanna Johnston was the founder, and the company was called That's a Wrap. And I felt like, it's the same thing. If there is a problem, like if we can solve that and we feel passionate about it, then we keep doing it. I do have strengths in data analytics, and that's where Slicer was born. And we saw this need gap. So there are few of us. There are like kind of 5 founders, and we saw a need in the market that a lot of fashion companies struggle with having, an accurate view of their data in the company. And also when they do have data, when they're making merchandising decisions or product buying decisions, they're just looking maybe at figures and numbers. And they kind of lose track of like what the whole range together looks like. So they may be looking at one product at a time and deciding, how much they're going to purchase of that or make of that, and which stores they're going to put it on. But when they look at the complete range, there's like, there was a gap in the market. So this is about 5-6 years ago. So that's why we created this platform called Canvas. So yes, I'm always creating. like a few years ago, I think there was this whole thing about people were not that open to technology. The people who were open to technology were really like into it. And we had the whole .com era, then we had the whole, e-commerce era. And then now there's this whole thing about everything is virtual, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. But I think what is happening is that COVID last year, I think there's no conversation that can happen without mentioning COVID-19. COVID-19 has actually made the average person in an average household be more open to technology and adopt it. So I think that is one single biggest change that we are seeing in our times, that people are really opening up to doing things online, right? Virtually. Right. So if earlier there was a fashion show, right, to kind of showcase your new range, and hundreds of people would come and the buyers would come and they would look at the, products being showcased on the ramp, it's becoming more fragmented, right? That people are doing in smaller groups, but then they are doing things in a much larger groups virtually. So people who earlier used to be, for example, let me take this because I'm kind of related to this and have a insider's view on this. There are a lot of people who are speakers, trainers, coaches, right? So earlier they would go out and physically train. So they would conduct a training with a room full of like anywhere from like 5 to 100 people. And now everything has gone virtual. So with what has happened is that suddenly their markets have exploded. So earlier there was somebody was based in Singapore, maybe he was looking at Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and once in a while maybe somebody would like kind of think of selling to the US or consumers in Europe or in India. But now the whole world is their audience, right? So similarly, if you think about it, people who were not kind of thinking about e-commerce, right? They were just thinking that they have to be in the physical stores for people to touch and feel their product. Sure, those consumers are not going to go away anywhere because there are still consumers who won't buy anything online, right? But then a lot of the retailers have just opened their mind and they are kind of, targeting people all over the world. And because of that, there's a whole ecosystem that is popping up. So there's a whole ecosystem of enabling deliveries. Right. So earlier I remember a few years ago, it was quite a struggle and it was quite expensive to ship goods, even within Singapore, right? Forget about Singapore to outside. It would be a few dollars, maybe double digits, right? Now it's like $3, right? And you can send a nice package. People will come, pick it up today, deliver it tomorrow, or they will charge you $5 and pick it up today and deliver it within 4 hours, or they will deliver it in 30 minutes. Right? So there's this whole ecosystem which is popping up. And I think if somehow we can tune ourselves, so yeah, be open to technology and keep thinking outside our comfort zone and be ready to take steps outside that, I think we can overcome a lot of obstacles. All the toolkits, right? Now people are selling toolkits for virtual presence. They are selling courses to kind of improve your speaking, your camera presence, how to use your hands to create more engagement, right? Rather than just speaking, because you need to build a connection, right? It's almost like you're live, right? And I think on the other side, what has happened is there's data building up. Right? As the online presence of people goes up and their usage of online technologies goes up, there are new products popping up. There are new use cases popping up. There's a lot of data building up. So, I mean, in a way, I love that because I love data, right? So there's a lot of things that we can do with data. So yeah, that's something that will be interesting as well to see where it all goes. Like always, my life is split between fashion and technology, right? So I think from a technology and analytics point of view, I've seen a lot of people waste a lot of time just analyzing data. And while there is a place for like open-ended analysis, right? But if people can kind of be clear on what are they trying to find, right? What are they trying to solve? And then design their data accordingly. Because I think it's just like no point just pumping in tons of data, having a lot of measures and a lot of calculations, if you don't know what you're looking for, right? Because then you just get lost in that whole, like, I think there is this phrase called analysis paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, right? So I think if we can be clear, what is it that we want our data to do for us, and design our data analytics program or processes accordingly, then you can get much more value out of it. So for somebody who's going into the analytics industry or the data industry, depending on which industry they're going in, if they can do a little bit of understanding, quite a bit of understanding of the industry first, right, before trying to do analysis or develop any product which is related to data and analytics, I think it will make their product much more acceptable in the industry, and also give value to their customers. For the fashion industry, what I feel is that I think a lot of operations are moving online. So people who are just jumping into the fashion industry right now, or coming in, if they have a passion for it, it is not only designing. Okay, so a lot of people come into the fashion industry thinking like, oh, I'm going to be a designer, I want to launch my range. But unless it's creating or designing is a real passion, right? You can be wanting to be in the industry, but you don't have to be a designer, right? So I think a little bit of soul searching in terms of what do you really like about the fashion industry? Is it the glamour? Is it the advertising? Is it the production? Is it, that thing of being able to see consumers look and feel good like I do? My passion is towards body positivity. It's not so much that I want to keep creating new designs and patterns and stuff. What really makes my days when I see a woman wear a Anna Rain wrap dress and then look at herself in the mirror and just like, is that me? Like, I had forgotten what my curves look like, because everybody's been wearing like kind of, not everybody, a lot of women try to hide their bodies under loose clothing or oversized clothing if they're not comfortable with some of their body parts. And I think that's very important, that know the purpose of why you're getting into the industry, and then accordingly build the skills. It must include technological skills, right? So if you have to be a designer, you want to be a designer, then learn whatever the tech tools, the best tech tools that are available for designing online. If you want to be in the production side, like there are now the other day at one of these online sessions, I saw there are these automated machines. They just like do everything. They stitch the entire garment. Nobody needs to sit and operate the sewing machine, right? The machine will do it by themselves. So I think that's important, that figure out what stream you want to be in, what are the tech tools that are available that can aid, because that's where the future is. I think for me, if I had to give one advice to anybody, I would say live zestfully. Because in the end, right, like, what you have learned, what you have done, where you have gone, it all boils down to whether you enjoyed the journey or not, right? So if you feel passion for something, pursue it. But, kind of stay connected with yourself, that if you find that your energy is ebbing in something, it basically means that it doesn't mean that much to you. So every time look and understand where your energy is for whatever you're doing. And if you see the zest in it, if you see the joy in it, if you see the happiness in it, you will be able to do a much better job, not only in your own life, but also for your community that is around you.